And so this Lanza shooting in Newport, Connecticut, it's symptomatic of a similar problem with all the shootings on campuses. Now, um, many people, or most people, would like to give the children the best everything in life, good education, help them to succeed in life, etc. But when you discover very early the child has some significant mental problems, to get a good psychiatrist to put him on medication so that he could get through school, I think is not necessarily prudent. Um, and you know what? Some children are born normal, but today where drugs are proliferating and so on, you know, they can become disabled mentally down the road through their own choices and bad habits, etc. Now, when a child has some mental problem, whether autism or whatever, it seems to me that, okay, what's the mind? The mind is a function. The mind is a function of at least some of these aspects I'm going to talk about: the intellect, the emotions, the will, the conscience, maybe the superego, maybe the id. These are some of the components of the mind. And when one is mentally ill, and these departments are deficient, then the mind is going to be deficient, and so on. Now, the conscience, the section of the brain that is concluded to be the conscience, is born clean. And as you go along learning from the Bible and other mores and folkways and norms in society and so on, and the laws, you tend to develop a conscience that, well, in a subtle way, you know, guide you away from problems. Because when you understand the consequences of murder and theft and all these kind of things, you'll see that you see something over there, there's a temptation, but subconsciously you move on because you've already concluded that you don't want to go through those experiences which the law prescribes, etc. And so when we try to give these guys the best education, now education is a daunting experience. It is not something that anybody could handle. And here in America, we want everybody to have, you know, tertiary education. And, you know, we need people also to work in the factories and people to pick the corn. This guy should have been groomed to pick oranges in Georgia or in, you know, California or someplace, tomatoes. I mean, we have to, you know, calm folks down. Hey, you haven't born with all your models in. Your mind is not, you know, great. You know, son, you're going to have to, you know, be assisted by the government with some food stamp or something, but you'll have to work at some minimal job. Because, you see, even philosophy and history and science and math and all these things, they require a functioning mind: the conscience, the emotions, the will, the intellect, the id, superego, all these aspects of the mind. And you know, like you're dealing with psychology or sociology in college or even history. I mean, you're thrown into a whole scenario that is so perplexing. You weren't there. It's something in a foreign place. What do you get from this class? The truth, or you're going to come up with some myths or some stupidness that the guy is going off on a tangent on. But you see, when you have a relationship with God, He helps you to charter and navigate this ocean, you know, boisterous seas, you know, and come through safely without getting a shipwreck or something like that. You see the icebergs, you see the little rock up there, and you just stay away from it. You know, you get what is truth. You try to get truth out of the exam, because if you build your whole education life on some fantasy, some myth, Greek mythology and all that kind of stuff, you're going to be in some serious problems, because what you're going to do out here, there's a reality out there and it's based on truth. So if you study sociology and you only go off on the stupid stuff, that's speculation, and you even come with your own little speculation, it's not going to work out there, because out there's a reality. And if you're not with it, you're lost. And and so it seems to me that although these kids seem to get through, when they finish, they can't really function. They don't have what it takes to go there and get a job or to make things happen and to go forward. I mean, positive things. And so they have to come with schemes now how they're going to survive. They're going to try to, you know, cheat somebody, you know, intellectual property, or they're going to try to rob the government or something like that, or some push drugs or some scampishness. They're going to try to get it because they don't have what it takes to really earnestly go there and work hard at it. And the perplexion and all the confusion that goes on in education, by the time they reach graduate school or they finish, they're so out of it. Plus the mental problems. It's like you've added on some problems to them. You've got to have a mental problem to start. They couldn't understand the course properly. They went off on tangents on mythology and all that. And so when they feel themselves, do I have what it takes to go there? No. And so they envy others who are normal in the brain and who have progressed reasonably and who will be positioned out there. So they do is come and shoot up the whole place, you know, because they're kind of jealous and they're envious and they're just evil. And so those who survive that will go out and be educational terrorists. That is, they're going to write books and they're going to do things that others following it are going to be trapped. Like, for example, like Stephen King. Stephen King writes a whole bunch of, I think it's mystery or whatever, but macabre books, you know, people with mental problems or this macabre, this, you know, those movies you see with strange people killing and doing, you know, some bizarre things. That's what they will do. Some others, they might become attorneys, they might become legislators, they might become important people, and guess what they do? They use their influence to, like for example, the people who propose you could go to college and don't know nothing, just know where to find it. I mean, these people are terrorists because they should know that such a thing, when you graduate and you have a degree now, you go on the job and you don't have a clue what you're doing, you know, you're going to cause that organization to have some serious problems, to collapse. The nation could go out because of education. God said, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. So when they write foolishness and talk stupid stuff, and somebody said, we don't need religion in schools. Okay? Now, so what you have in school is just evil. And it's much more hard. The corners, the devils beat you up, trying to get you on stage. You can't sit down and study. It's like it's nerve-wracking, the whole experience. Some others came up with other things like you know, somebody writes something dumb, and because he's dumb, they ignore what this person has written. They want to critique it correctly and say, "Sir, this thing is not right. You got to work that over. The doctorate is in trouble. This don't make sense at all, man. Forget all this kind of positive thinking and stuff. This is nonsense, bro. You got to take that somewhere else, man. You got to go. You don't get no doctorate here." I mean, but no, they're gonna. The guy pay this money. You can get his court case going. He's gonna get his attorney. Is it? You can get the congressman in it and so on. So you graduate him and go there, and he's gonna produce some philosophy and some ideas that are just dangerous and terrible. Some others came with some philosophy like, oh, rote learning is bad. Like learning the times tables is bad. You don't have to do that. Oh, you could use calculators early in school. And so what's happening today, all young people aren't going into areas like they're not doing well in mathematics. So the guys that are doing mathematics on campus are foreigners. And you have a business and you employ folks dealing with your cash. When there's no electricity, if you don't have a backup generation, you got to close it because they can't come outside of the calculator, outside of the cash register. And you know, and at my age, I could tell you, I could do for you 25 times tables, 17 times tables, 16 times tables, so that I have a basics that I'm not afraid of any math course. But if I hadn't the ability to navigate those early and those primitive sort of numbers, games, and processes, how do we have a problem? But the enemy came and said, you don't have to memorize tables. And I recall I was teaching at a school in California, elementary school, and there were about 50 questions, math questions. And I said, well, okay, those who finish first, raise your hand. Okay, let's go. And I finished first. The second guy was a guy he's Chinese. His parents were from Hong Kong. And you know Hong Kong is a part of the bridge system. And you have to know the timetables, you have to know the whole book and the whole 9 yards. So they at home, that is guy working his timetables. Okay? So, you know, some looking for patterns, they're going all through the paper looking for easy ones. And I just hit them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going like that, the same thing with the Chinese guy. And we were able to finish first. It doesn't mean that I'm good at calculus or trigonometry and so forth. I didn't have much of that experience. Okay? But I could do it. I mean, I don't have things to worry about. I don't have a lot of problems. I could get it done. So this is what's happening in education today. And when guys like Adam, that have mental problems, you just have to steer them away from education because they will do damage. If they don't shoot up the school, they're going to produce stupid books. They're going to write dumb stuff. They're going to see people talking stupid stuff. They either don't know it, or because evil, they're going to let it slide. people come up saying that homosexuals have bigger brains, and the sex of a child is determined by some chemical down in the pregnancy. And in early genetics, you know that you're born from conception as a boy or girl because the X and the chromosomes, the XX and the XY. I mean, that's solid. Okay, all the stuff that he think he's girl or whatever, and you find the bones on the side and you do a genetic test, you're gonna see it's XY because of that. You know what I mean? So this is what is happening, and we have to protect against that. We just can't let crazy people go to Harvard and Yale. People have to use medication and psychotropic this and that and counseling that. I mean, they have too many problems to really be able to get it done right and go there and make society, multiply, correct concepts and so forth. So I hope that we look at these instances and try to find a nice way to dumb down, dampen down these aspirations these people with mental problems have. I want to go to Yale, I want to be a millionaire, I want to be president, and all that. This son, yeah, you could start a farm over there, or you could, just stay home, we give you a check, a little food stamp, so you could survive. No, don't think we're getting rich and family and all this stuff because, you can't handle that. You know what I mean?